Namaste and welcome, beloved mighty companions.
Namaste y bienvenidos, queridos compañeros.
Thank you for joining us this evening in joy.
Gracias por reunirse y decidir unirnos y compartir con nosotros esta dicha, la paz y la dicha.
You can see that these projects, or if Jesus gives you an assignment, it's just for a conversation with him. That's all it is.
Esta es una tarea que nos ha dado Jesús y es solo una conversación.
You know, and to hear him through your brother, which is really beautiful.
Y el compartir entre los humanos es muy hermoso.
So this is part 2 of the stages of spiritual awakening.
Esta es la segunda parte de las etapas del despertar.
And we were I was laughing last time because I didn't think there was that much, you know, really on the stages. And now we have like something like 13 or 14 pages.
Okay. Can you repeat again, please?
I said I was laughing because now I thought, you know, there's not much to say on stages of spiritual awakening.
Ah, sí, yes, you are. No hay mucho que decir acerca del despertar espiritual, pero ella tiene varias páginas. Tiene 14, 15 páginas para hablar acerca de eso.
So, and he showed me, as he always does.
Y él le ha mostrado eso.
Now, you can make this a 1-page sheet. I mean, that's what we're here to talk about, how to get 14 pages down to 1 page.
Ella adicionó 14 páginas para estas etapas.
So, una página.
Una página.
We want to get it down to 1 page.
Y ella quería hacer una sola página, pero fueron varias páginas.
And this is the funny thing about this whole thing.
Esas son las cosas divertidas acerca de la realidad.
So the only one that can stop you, anyone in consciousness, from seeing that their light is already here is that being. You know, if no one outside us is stopping us from seeing the light.
Que nadie nos está deteniendo para reconocer nuestra luz. La luz está allí sencillamente para ser reconocida. Nadie nos detiene.
But you'll see in the beings that do wake up to the full recognition of divinity.
Es sencillamente el permitir reconocer nuestra divinidad, reconocer nuestra completa divinidad.
They're committed and determined to see the truth.
Estar comprometido a mirar la verdad.
See, and then the Course in Miracles could be 1 page long because you know, it's 1 page. See that you're, you know, as you are, made by God, 1 page.
Sí. El curso de milagros, con una sola palabra, una sola frase, y lo dice al inicio, se podría entender la verdad, pero tiene todo el curso.
Okay, so the whole message here about whatever stages there are.
Porque todo el mensaje está en etapas, justamente está en etapas.
Okay, this is a list of reasons why we're saying we can't be enlightened right now.
Esa es la razón por la cual ella puede ver la luz ahora. Todo ese libro, todo ese curso.
So that's what he's trying to say. These are all the reasons that you have in your subconscious mind why you don't want to admit you are exactly as God made you.
Por eso es por lo que yo estoy compartiendo para que se entienda cuál es el mensaje que Dios quiere compartir con nosotros.
So this is looking pretty good at 14 pages.
Esas son, o sea que están bien esas 40 páginas.
And it only It's only going to reflect how dedicated you are to seeing who you are no matter what.
Es el reflejo del compromiso y la dedicación para reconocerte quién eres realmente.
So we can go through symptoms and signs and stages.
Bueno, y podemos nosotros ir buscando símbolos, signos, síntomas y etapas.
But if you're not, if the whoever you, whatever's out there.
Sí, sí, ¿y qué más allá afuera? ¿Qué más allá afuera?
If there is no, it has to be 100% commitment to see what's true. 100%.
Hay que estar comprometido el 100% con la verdad.
You know, because if there's like a 2%, that's 100% hell that you're accepting in your mind.
El 2% no es suficiente, el 100% de compromiso en nuestra mente.
So, well, as I was writing the blog, because there's a blog that goes along with this sheet in this video.
Ok. El video que se está compartiendo y el blog es referente a eso, referente al despertar.
Which you can just put on Google Translate and it'll, you know, translate that page for you until we can get it. Yeah. So you can just put the page on Google Translate.
Wait a minute.
You don't have to have it. I mean, I just mean in general, Lisbeth.
Yes, don't worry. Let me look for. Okay.
Okay.
Yes. Conversations. Okay.
Okay. And Lena, bless her heart, has been working today to get this translated into Spanish. So we have a rough draft in Spanish, okay? Rough draft.
Okay, Lina está trabajando en la traducción de este trabajo.
Okay, and that link is in the Spanish WhatsApp group.
Y este link se va a pasar a los grupos en español.
Okay, and then the English version is in the English Facebook group.
Okay. La versión en inglés está en los grupos de inglés en Facebook.
And then eventually, for anybody watching this YouTube, eventually we'll have the links right in the YouTube description.
Y luego se va a hacer en YouTube eventualmente.
Okay, but, you know, I don't know if any of you were in corporate America where he had this teacher called Stephen Covey.
No sé si ustedes conocen a Stephen Covey.
But he had a good principle. He had a really good principle.
Él tiene unos buenos principios.
That applies in Spiritual Awakening.
Para aplicar en el despertar espiritual.
It's called Begin with the End in Mind.
Se llama el inicio, begin. Begin
with the end in mind.
El inicio de la mente.
So you start the looking with the end in mind, in your mind, what you're heading toward.
Okay, puedes comenzar a buscar dentro de tu mente, hacer ese recorrido en tu mente.
Because if you read this, of course, if you've been studying A Course in Miracles, this won't look like gibberish, but if you're new to it, it's going to look like a bunch of gibberish.
Okay, yes. Si buscas en el curso de milagros, tienes que leer todo el curso. ¿ok? Él tiene, al parecer, unos pasos un poco más cortos, pero están basados en el curso.
Because a lot of beings want to know, what is the test? How do I test to know what spiritual, if I'm spiritually awakened?
Él tiene una prueba o un testaje para verificar el despertar espiritual.
Because,
O sea, ¿cómo despertar?
because there can be a lot of awakening kind of movements and seeing that there's only light and, you know, that the world is unified. You can have these kinds of experiences.
Porque hay muchas maneras o muchos métodos o muchas ideologías que hablan acerca del despertar espiritual.
Okay.
Muchos movimientos.
But for those who want to go all the way to what Jesus is talking about,
pero aquellos que quieren saber qué es lo que está diciendo Jesús acerca de eso,
the only spiritual awakening test is
la única prueba del despertar es,
am I in a consistent state of peace and joy, consistently, all the time?
Es la consistente, completa, continua paz y felicidad y dicha.
Okay, because that's what we are, peace and joy. That's it, done, period.
Cuando hemos encontrado la paz y la dicha, ya no hay más nada que buscar. Y punto. Eso es el final. Ese es el ideal.
Okay, so that's the end, that we're supreme happiness. You know, he says supreme happiness. Is he making that up? No.
Sí, ya no se busca la felicidad. O sea, ¿qué más se busca? Estamos en la plenitud, en lo más alto. Ya no hay más nada que buscar. Felicidad si estamos en la dicha y estamos en la paz.
Okay, that's our inheritance.
Esa es nuestra herencia.
And then anything else that's not that is a desire for something other than that.
Y cualquier cosa que no sea eso es sencillamente el deseo de algo que no es, quien no es. Ya sabemos.
So that's what the ego is. The ego is a desire for something other than supreme happiness.
El ego es el causante, es el promotor de cualquier cosa que no sea la felicidad.
Okay, so the stages are only the mind, symbols of the mind opening to see what's true, being more and more willing to finally say the only thing. Yeah.
Ok, los pasos o las etapas son sencillamente como guías para poder reconocer.
The only thing that's important,
la única cosa importante e invaluable
is God in his kingdom.
Es Dios en su reino. Dios en su reino.
Now I sound like an old-fashioned preacher up on the pulpit. God in his kingdom.
Sí, eso es lo más importante que tenemos que buscar y reconocer. Dios y su reino.
And I could see that, this is showing you all the reasons why in consciousness is avoidance of God and his kingdom.
Sí, eso es lo único que debemos tener en nuestra conciencia. El reino de Dios y su reino. Dios y su reino. Yes, you are right.
And so, so he goes, okay, let me make it simple. And then he condenses it down for me to a new covenant.
Permíteme comentarle acerca de ella, de mí y de el nuevo convenimiento.
And he says, I'm going to save you a lot of pages and a lot of pages here if you're willing to listen to the voice within.
Ok, y le dijo, te lo voy a decir en muchas páginas, te lo voy a presentar en muchas páginas si quieres compartirlo, si quieres decirlo,
So
para
again,
que lo digas.
You can bypass, you have all the power given by God to bypass every one of these pages if you're committed to see what's true and not invest in the false anymore.
Oh, yes. Si te comprometes o estás comprometida a decir la verdad, a estar comprometida con la verdad y nada más.
But because consciousness likes to put its little toe in the divinity pool rather than dive in, then it needs, it has all these.
Can you repeat again? Can you repeat again, please?
Well, because the play of consciousness is
Porque el juego de la conciencia es
to stick its little toe in the pool of divinity.
Sí, de la conciencia es reconocer nuestra divinidad.
Rather than completely dive fully in and go for it.
Yes, yes. Can you repeat again, please?
Yes, it just plays like it just wants a little bit of divinity, but it doesn't want the whole thing by diving in the pool.
Yes. La única es nuestra divinidad, pero parece en la piscina. I lost it.
Yeah, it doesn't want to dive fully into the pool of divine light and say, oh, that's all I am.
Sí, eso es lo que soy. Soy la divinidad, pero estoy nadando en cualquier otra cosa que no, en ese no reconocimiento.
So then, because of not wanting miracles,
porque es un milagro.
We have to go step by step, dragging our feet through 14 pages of stages.
Okay, entonces preferimos hacer las etapas y son 40 páginas para poder aceptarlo y reconocerlo.
Okay, so we got to the point that where we're starting to realize that maybe the world's not working the way we thought it was.
Can you repeat again, please?
So an important step along this way in a stage is suddenly realizing the world doesn't work the way I thought.
No.
An important step along the way.
El paso importante.
Okay, is to recognize that the world's not quite working the way that we think it is.
Que el mundo no tiene la verdad, o sea, no nos reconoce, no nos da nada que valga la pena.
But for many beings, they get a slam, some kind of consciousness wake-up call that can be pretty significant.
About the awakening, can you repeat
yes,
again?
Because some kind of tragedy, some kind of big thing that's almost horrific.
Okay, nos gusta, pareciera que nos gustara creer en las cosas terroríficas, en el dolor, en la enfermedad.
And all of a sudden they realize, I want to start looking for something else because this is not working.
Okay, esto no está funcionando. Déjame ver qué más puedo hacer porque esto no está funcionando.
But sometimes that's what it takes, because otherwise we won't do the committed looking.
Por eso es que entonces decidimos hacer un cambio. Al ver que no está funcionando el camino que estamos siguiendo.
Now, sometimes consciousness then will try to start seeking as a stage, seeking salvation through the dream.
Por eso la conciencia nos trae a nuestra mente la posibilidad o la verdad, la certeza de salvarnos del sueño.
Okay, so it's going to start going out in trying to save the world, has a lot of save the world kind of projects.
¿Y por qué se proyecta en el mundo? ¿Por qué son estas proyecciones?
Okay, and it can become like a healer. It'll go into healer mode. If I can heal somebody, then I'm saved. If I'm a healer.
Puedo salvar a alguien, puedo salvar a alguien, sanar a alguien, puedo sanar a alguien, puedo sanar esto que está sucediendo.
Now, for a time that can be helpful.
puedo ser útil, en el tiempo puedo ser útil, ahora es tiempo de ser útil.
But at some point, the healer identity has to be washed out.
Pero en algún punto de esa sanación,
Okay, because as soon as you're healing an other, see, there's an other, and you're no longer in the one. You're still searching for salvation through the world.
ok, porque aun cuando se pueda sanar, se sigue buscando la sanación, la salvación.
Okay. So at some point, there has to be a turning inward as a stage. A stage is, I'm going to start looking into my mind for answers. Like Jesus said, it's all in the mind.
En algún momento, entonces, vamos a nuestra mente y nos preguntamos,
Okay, and then
¿qué más puede haber?
You could call it a stage. There's like a more sincere looking. I'm going to look to see what's true.
Puede buscar en las etapas y allí puedes encontrar lo que es verdad.
Okay, so I'm going to pull up. Let's see. So I'm going to share this little, I'll share this document, but there's nothing absolute about it other than.
Can you repeat again, please?
There's nothing, none of this is cast in stone.
No hay un obstáculo, una piedra.
Okay, other than you have to look to see where you're denying yourself the love of the Father. There isn't another way.
No te niegues al amor de tu Padre. No te niegues al amor de tu Padre. No hay otra manera. Eres lo que eres.
Okay, so there's more and more of an opening to start looking. As we know, some of us started A Course in Miracles, or you might be reading other spiritual books.
Yes. Estamos buscando aquí acerca de todas los que podemos hacer para el despertar.
Okay.
El libro de Curso de Milagros.
For anyone new who's not as familiar about this, the joining, the solution that is given here is to come together to look at these things and release them from the mind.
Para encontrar las soluciones y para poder sanar la mente.
Okay. And it helps when with the listening, you'll be able to hear that voice better if you're joining.
Puedes escuchar mejor esa voz si tú te unes a otros que están buscando eso mismo.
Okay. Now, right as you're starting to look, you can start to get sidetracked. We talked about that a little bit. A relationship will come up, illness will come up. You'll see these plays will start to come up and distract from your looking.
Comienzas a buscar acerca de aquellas personas o aquellos que están en la búsqueda de lo mismo, que tratan de unirse y sanar su mente.
So no matter what comes up, you want to continue to join no matter what. That's your way out.
En la unión no importa, o sea, no importa cómo, pero lo importante es que se mantenga esa unión, no matter what.
So the joining and staying joined is going to help keep you, see, the ego is going to want to go off and doing its own thing, but the joining can help you stabilize the spiritual awakening.
En esa unidad es donde el ego puede desestabilizarse al reconocer y al mantener esa unidad.
So the things in these stages you don't want to underestimate.
Can you repeat again, please?
There are things in this stage you do not want to underestimate.
En esta etapa,
the level of fear that the ego plays at this deep looking, it's going to play fearful of the deep looking and what it's going to be discovering.
Okay, el ego va a tratar de mantenerte en temor, en miedo. Y es
Okay.
allí donde,
Because the ego is going to try to convince you that something horrible is going to happen to you if you start looking.
porque el ego va a tratar de convencerte de que algo horrible va a sucederte si continúas en este camino. Yes, you're right.
Okay. So as your commitment and you grows to really realizing that the world isn't what you think it is.
Si estás comprometido en el rol que tienes que cumplir en
And
esto,
you realize that being a hero in the dream and trying to save the world is not getting you peace or happiness.
que el ser el héroe del sueño no te va a dar paz ni te va a dar felicidad.
You're going to start wanting to go deeper.
Tú tienes que ir hacia más profundo dentro de ti.
And you'll even, I've heard other beings say, look, I just want to see the light. I want to see what that is.
Y decirte que quieres ver la luz que está dentro de ti.
I want to see the holy instant.
Y quiero ver el instante santo, solamente ese instante.
Okay, so there's some ways, again, you stay with the meditations in lesson 44 and 189 to contemplate light.
Okay, hacer meditación, la lección 44 y la 99.
The purpose of satsang, for the lessons and for the evening sessions is to be in this deep contemplation. It's a contemplative experience.
El propósito de esas lecciones es que podamos contemplar la experiencia, podamos experimentar, ¿verdad?
And you can start to recognize light there too as well. That's why I gave the light circles.
Y podemos reconocer la luz y reconocernos en ese círculo de la luz, reconocernos en la luz y en la verdad que somos. Sí, esas lecciones nos llevan hacia el reconocimiento. You are right.
If you really recognize the power of joining, what that gives you.
Si reconocemos el poder.
As a course student or anyone devoted to spiritual awakening.
El compromiso y la devoción de cualquier despertar espiritual.
At honing your ability to hear that voice so you can be guided through these stages.
Escuchar la voz que te va a indicar durante estas etapas.
You would be joining consistently.
Te podrás unir consistentemente.
But you see, that's what the ego is going to fight. It's going to fight that joining.
El ego va a luchar, va a contraatacar para que no se dé esta unión.
It's going to really fight looking directly at the desires that Jesus gives.
Sí, y va a pelear verdaderamente para que no recibas el regalo de Jesús.
So a real critical stage in spiritual maturity is starting to say no to that ego voice and really following the voice for God, following the inner light to what's going to be most helpful.
La parte más crítica en esta etapa es esa lucha que va a tener el ego donde tenemos que decirle que no y apegarnos a esa voluntad de aceptar y de reconocernos y a nuestro despertar espiritual.
And where that's going to be really that practicing joining and hearing is going to be incredibly valuable.
En las prácticas, haciendo las prácticas, vas a ver cuán increíble
Is right here, this is the impediments. What are the blocks in this step?
Vamos a darnos cuenta cuáles son los impedimentos.
Sometimes when this light episodes come up, I know it was in my case, I didn't put the two together, but you'll start to see light and you'll feel all this rage come up after. You'll be like mad as a hornet.
Ok, vas a comenzar a ver la luz y vas a comenzar a ver impedimentos, porque lo que quieren en realidad es distraer.
It's like, where did that come from? I was in bliss. I was just in bliss.
Can you repeat again? I didn't understand.
You'll be asking, where did that rage? Where did this come from? Or if because I was in so much happiness before.
Sí, porque éramos felices antes. ¿Dónde está la lucha? ¿Dónde está la carrera? Éramos felices antes.
Don't interpret it.
No interpretemos.
It's not your function to interpret these things.
No es nuestra función interpretar estas cosas.
See, this is spiritual maturity. This is a stage of spiritual maturity.
La materia espiritual es la parte espiritual y no nos compete a nosotros interpretar. Sencillamente.
And that stage is to go quickly join in a moment of light and go, I'm going to see what's true, like that.
Okay. Esta etapa es para ir rápidamente, o estas etapas para ir rápidamente a la luz y al disfrute espiritual.
You know, and as you're hearing that voice, you can ask that voice to interpret it.
Y vas a escuchar la voz, es permitirte escuchar la voz y no interpretar.
This is one of the most important stages you can have, is acceptance of that voice to help you.
Esa es la etapa más importante, permitirte escuchar esa voz que te guía.
And then having the spiritual maturity to ask, okay, is this releasing energy? Sometimes it'd be just an energetic release, or am I trying to keep some part of identity?
Ok, dejarnos guiar y cuidar esa parte que es de nuestra verdadera identidad.
Because the ego relishes looping inside of all the thoughts and the feelings and emotions.
Porque al ego le encanta regodearse en las emociones, en los sentimientos, en el pasado, en el sufrimiento, para mantenernos distraídos.
So as you turn inward, you've got to really be guided. It's the fastest way. Is you're going to skip all this stuff. Look at all these pages. You'll get right down here to the orange section. See down here?
Si te dejas guiar, todo va a ser más fácil. Todo va a poder darse. Dejarse guiar por el Espíritu. Dejarse guiar por Jesús.
That the whole ego's plan is to co-opt the entire spiritual awakening process and delay it as long as possible.
Sí, dejarse guiar por el ego es sencillamente no permitir y detenernos, o sea, detenernos y retrasarnos en nuestro despertar.
So we give some resources right here for each of the steps, but it's basically just a deepening willingness to look to see what's true.
Mirarnos, pareciera que son etapas, pero sencillamente mirarnos internamente, profundamente, para encontrar nuestra verdad.
It's the fighting against the looking. See, that is what the what likes to play that game.
Ese es el juego que le gusta al ego, la pelea, la lucha, el ataque, hacer de todo eso como un problema.
So each one of these stages is you're developing that deepening trust to look deeper into your mind to see that it's all made up, basically.
Y todas estas etapas te permiten buscar en ti mismo, descubrirte, encontrarte y reconocerte en la luz que eres.
But just like everything, you can sit down if you're guided with Jesus, and you sit down and you ask him, any of these impediments, Jesus, do I have any of these in my mind? Am I impeding myself by choosing the ego over you?
Ok. Preguntarle a Jesús, permitirnos preguntarle a Jesús por la guía. ¿Por qué hacer? ¿Por qué decir? Para contrarrestar, para no escuchar lo que el ego nos dice. Ok, permitirnos que Jesús nos guíe, que la voz nos guíe.
Do I have right here, do I have any beliefs in sacrifice or loss related to releasing these concepts?
¿Tú tienes alguna creencia en estos momentos acerca del sacrificio y del dolor en tu conciencia?
And if you hear that inner voice say yes, then you just join as quickly as possible and release them. That's it.
Y si escuchas como respuesta que sí, sencillamente únete y entrégalo para deshacerlo.
Do I have doubt thoughts about whether it's possible to fully awaken to truth?
Can you repeat again, please?
Do I have doubt thoughts about whether it's possible to fully awaken to truth?
Podemos nosotros pensar que el tiempo puede impedir el despertar a la verdad.
Okay, then clear the doubt thoughts.
Incluyendo las dudas.
Okay, do I have any hidden right here? Do I have any hidden pockets that I'm projecting in my mind from being looked at?
¿Tienes algún miedo, algún miedo en tu mente que estés proyectando, que vayas a proyectar o que proyectes? Sí.
Do I like to distract myself with all kinds of physical symptoms and getting sick so I won't look?
Y eso se va a manifestar entonces en algún síntoma de alguna enfermedad, de algún sufrimiento.
So that's really it. The question gets to be with all these stages.
La cuestión aquí es que todas estas etapas,
there's a stage to get to go, this world does not work. I need a better way. I'm willing to see it fully.
Que este mundo no nos ofrece nada. Hacia esto nos llevan todas estas etapas, que este mundo no tiene nada que ofrecer, nada para disfrutar.
And it's a big stage to admit that all pain and suffering is an inside condition within the mind.
Y admitir y reconocer que todo el sufrimiento, todo el dolor es una condición de insanidad o de enfermedad de la mente.
So again, here come the light episodes. This looks really good. Oh my goodness, I'm happy and I'm at peace.
Y estoy entonces en paz y digo, bueno, estoy entonces en paz, estoy en felicidad.
And then all of a sudden you feel like you want to just blow up or beat up a neighbor or something.
Y te sientes mejor, te sientes que explotas, te sientes feliz.
Or, you know, things aren't quite going the way you thought and you just feel like you're in the fires of hell.
O pueda que te sientas entonces, si no es así, como parte del hell.
Inferno.
Infierno, sí,
Infierno.
como que te sientas en el infierno. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
I'm so sorry, this is the first time I'm trying to
she's doing
translate and to
spectacular.
understand.
Jesus is smiling. Tell him Jesus is smiling.
Yes.
Because you're in function.
Thank you. Yes, you are. You are right. You are right in this. You are right.
I see. We have to follow Jesus.
We can talk after that. After this one, how Jesus talked to me about this. I'm laughing now.
Muy bien. Excellent.
Let's go.
That's excellent. Okay. So, but what will happen is you'll have these spiritual awakening experiences. Then Mooji talks about it. Don't start.
Can you repeat again, please?
Well, what happens is there'll be these really mind expanding experiences because you're releasing a lot of subconscious content.
¿Qué sucedería si nuestra mente se expandiera a la verdad?
You know, and Mooji says, keep quiet.
Quiet. Sería todo tranquilo.
Okay.
Tranquilo.
He says, keep quiet because you're still incubating in the oven. You're not done yet.
Estate tranquilo porque todavía estás en etapa de incubación.
Okay, because the ego is going to get hold of everything you say and it will create a story about it, because that's what it does.
Porque el ego está pendiente de todo lo que hace y quiere crear una historia, un cuento, un drama. Can I say the drama? Yes.
Yes.
The ego is dramatic.
So all we do is go, they have two questions. Am I consistently at peace?
Todo se reduce en dos preguntas. Estoy en paz, me siento consistentemente en paz.
If I'm not consistently at peace, more to look at.
Si no estoy consistentemente en paz, entonces veamos.
You know, okay, so here it is. In the stage that in finally admitting if peace is not a consistent state, there are still desires hidden that need to be released.
Si tienes todavía algún deseo, si no es así, es porque tienes algún deseo que tienes que entregar y perdonar y sobrepasar y sí, pasar.
Okay, and the ego will say stuff like, oh, I'm too busy to look every day, you know, I got a life to live.
Si el ego dice, bueno, estoy muy ocupado, no puedo, o sea, alguna excusa, solo excusa.
This is why, this is what
qué?
the ego always has something better to do than to see that it's God. That's, you're gonna say, it doesn't exist.
Yes, you are right. El ego siempre tiene algo que hacer, aparentemente, mejor que Dios. Siempre te da otra posibilidad. ¿Para qué? Para que te distraiga, in order to be distracted.
So for those beings that wake up to full divinity, it is they realize this is the only thing this world is for.
Esto es la única posibilidad que te ofrece el mundo. O sea, y este mundo está para entregarse y trascenderse.
And I've said it, you can see it in the beings that are devoted. They have their mind on one thing.
Y puedes, devoted, can you repeat again, please?
Devoted to awakening.
Estar comprometido, estar dispuesto a despertar.
It's like, what else is there anything else I need to see?
Hay algo más que necesitamos que ver, que hacer.
And they're willing to do whatever it takes to see who they are.
Y, o sea, tener la voluntad de todo lo que podamos hacer para que eso se dé, para que ese despertar se dé. Poner toda nuestra buena voluntad.
You know, and you'll see it like beings like Ajasanti is a great example of commitment.
Eso sucede en el caso de los santos que estaban comprometidos.
He was determined. You know, you'll see it every time. The beings that are really determined, it's their one thing, then it's.
Ellos estaban comprometidos con eso a lo que habían entregado, en este caso, del despertar, de la santidad, del reino, como se mencionaba hace rato que acá.
And what I'm referring to, though, is the ones that really want the consistent state of peace of mind. Okay.
O sea, lo más importante es la paz de la mente.
Okay. They want to take it all the way to what Jesus, the full resurrection, what Jesus was pointing to.
Sí, esa era la razón para la resurrección de Jesús. Eso era todo, el reconocimiento del ser.
Okay, so along the way, they'll be backtracking. Unless you're really locked down and are committed, you kind of go in loops.
Si no, el compromiso, si no te comprometes, vas a estar entonces con excusa, vas a estar en un bucle, en un constante ir y venir. Pero el compromiso es vital, es lo que ella está tratando de decir acá.
So every stage is
Todas las
really
etapas es
until you get to the point of spiritual maturity where you will say yes to the last unanswered question unequivocally.
ok. El compromiso es importante. Cuando dices que sí, debes estar comprometido. En este caso, el
Okay.
compromiso es contigo mismo.
And that is, am I willing to see what I have denied because it's true? Am I willing to see what's true?
Ok. Que mi voluntad es la verdad. Que mi deseo es la verdad. La voluntad.
That is an incredibly important stage.
Esa es una importante etapa. Ese es un paso importante, una importante etapa. Increíble e importante etapa.
Because before that, you're accepting scraps of delusion.
Cuando hemos aceptado desechar las ilusiones,
You know, so this is the checklist, and you know it from Course in Miracles, but also other spiritual traditions too.
can you repeat again?
You know, a lot of this comes from A Course in Miracles, but it's very congruent with some other spiritual traditions.
Ok, tenemos el curso de milagros, pero también hay otras tradiciones espirituales.
Okay. One is consistently saying no to the ego.
Algunas consistentemente hablan del ego.
Consistent joining.
Consistentemente hablan de la unión.
Commitment to make no decisions on your own, meaning you do what you're assigned by the Holy Spirit.
Ok, y se comprometen a no tomar decisiones por su cuenta y a escuchar al Espíritu Santo.
Okay, you're committed to ongoing conversations with Jesus, a voice for God, or that inner voice.
Te comprometes, hay compromiso para escuchar a tu voz interior y la voz de Jesús, a tu voz interior.
Okay, and it's really a commitment to yourself, because there's no one to commit to other than yourself, and accepting yourself as God made you.
Te aceptas a ti mismo y tienes un compromiso con ti mismo, con tu propio ser.
You know, and it's responsibility for the mind. I am responsible to see what I've denied.
Te comprometes contigo mismo, es una responsabilidad contigo mismo para ver lo que niegas, o sea, para dejar atrás lo que estás negando.
See, that's what the ego doesn't want to see. It's hiding that it's a choice, that consciousness is a chosen experience to deny divinity.
Por eso es que el ego te ofrece, en realidad lo que te ofrece es la experiencia de negar tu divinidad.
So
Al
then,
escuchar al ego, niegas tu divinidad.
okay. So then there's just an opening, okay, show me everything. Show me everything so that it can be revealed. Jesus will guide you.
Jesús nos puede guiar para decirnos qué hacer, qué más, que Él nos puede mostrar qué más hacer.
See, the biggest impediment is refusal to have a dialogue with that, what's natural.
Si no debe haber impedimento para tener un diálogo que debe ser, que es natural, es natural.
So for anyone who's watching, they're not familiar with miracles.
Cuando no estamos familiarizados con los milagros,
it's just a decision in your mind that you're not going to hold on to these desires to deny yourself anymore.
Es tu decisión el no negarte a ti mismo nunca más.
See, but at first we think that we're too weak to make that decision.
Can you repeat again, please?
At first, there's a belief that you're too weak to make that decision and stop.
Okay, no es debilidad el que tomes la decisión de detenerte.
You know, so part of the spiritual maturity and the advanced stages is seeing that you do have the power to say no to the ego.
El poder es uno de tu poder de decisión, el decirle que no al ego. Es parte de ese poder, de la decisión de decirle que no.
And then there's some specific things, even as you're making that commitment, that have to be looked at.
Y algo muy importante es comprometerte con ello, con la
See,
verdad.
because the looking itself is so simple. It's so easy.
Porque encontrarse o buscarse a sí mismo, esa búsqueda de nosotros mismos es muy, muy fácil.
What he's giving us is ask me, I'll tell you, and then you just look with him and it releases.
Encontrarte a ti mismo, preguntar
Okay.
qué es y entregar. Y entregar.
The biggest challenge, the biggest stage to move through is
El gran reto, el gran
refusing
paso,
him instructing you of where to look and then be willing to look.
es, can you repeat again?
The biggest impediment is
El gran impedimento
the unwillingness to let him guide you exactly what you need to look at.
es no estar dispuesto a dejarse guiar por Dios. Ese es el
And
gran
to allow him to show you where you don't want miracles. You don't want to change your mind.
El ego va a querer que tú no quieras ver los milagros, que tú no te quieras ver, que no quieras ver tu mente.
So all he's doing when he gives you assignments is showing you where you don't want to change your mind.
Todo lo que tienes que hacer es decidir que quieres cambiar tu mente.
About who you are.
Acerca de quién eres.
See, the assignments are to show you something. They're not having you do something. It's actually to show you something.
La tarea es mostrarte quién eres.
But the ego is going to play the game. The ego plays the game. Oh, I'm pressured.
El ego juega a decirte que estoy presionado, estoy en el placer,
God's making me do something I don't want to do.
Dios quiere que haga algo, o sea, no lo quiero hacer.
You have to see which voice is speaking. See, it's the voice that wants to keep personal identity saying all that stuff.
Hay una voz que te habla y te dice cada cosa.
Okay. So we really have to catch that. It's just a trick. It's just a play.
Si haces trampa, o sea, la trampa o el truco es el juego. Ese es su modo operandi. La trampa.
And have the spiritual maturity not to fall for that and go, oh, let me see what's under that.
Can you repeat again?
It have the spiritual maturity not to fall for that play, but to look under it instead.
Okay. En la parte espiritual, no sigue ese juego.
One of the most profound things when he starts coaching you.
Can you repeat again?
One of the most profound things that you'll see when you open your mind to let yourself be coached by him.
Cuando permites que tu mente se abra y ser guiado, ser tutoreado y guiado por él.
Is seeing how much you do not want miracles.
Puedes ver cuánto puedes hacer de los milagros. ¿Cuántos milagros puedes hacer?
And that's a helpful stage to see how much you don't want miracles, because you see how you're denying yourself.
Can you repeat again, please?
That is a helpful stage.
Esas son las etapas.
Because you'll start to see that you're the one who are denying yourself heaven. See, no one's denying.
porque eres tú mismo quien te niegas el cielo.
By refusing to change your mind about what you think is true, it's holding on to a concept.
Porque te rehusas a aceptar que tu mente es la que tiene poder.
So it's refusing to see things another way, deep in the subconscious mind.
Porque te estás rehusando ver las cosas de otra manera dentro de ti, en tu conciencia profunda.
But as your mind, the mind opens to Jesus and just go, Jesus, is there any part of my mind that's not available to you? And you go to.
Si permitimos que Jesús llegue a nuestra mente, Él podrá actuar en cada aspecto de ella.
See, when all those desires, you move into what's unification of consciousness. You no longer have a subconscious mind and you no longer have nothing's hidden.
Okay. Si permites que todos tus deseos, o sea, si entregas todos tus deseos y permites que sea tu conciencia la que domine,
And it's
tendrás.
Not like, okay. You just, you're just happy.
Eres feliz. You're just happy. Yes.
You're just, you're not keeping parts of yourself hidden from the light in unification of consciousness.
No mantendrás ninguna parte de ti escondida de la luz.
So there's been a deep, yeah.
De la luz, o sea, de la luz del ser.
There's been a deep release of all that subconscious content.
Y puedes ir muy profundo a tu estado de conciencia.
Okay, and you're not following the ego around.
Y no te vas a rodear en el ego otra vez.
Okay, and so that's not the final state.
Este no es.
You can call one, but as consciousness unifies and.
Este no es el último estado, la última etapa. Luego viene la unificación de la conciencia.
Okay, but you're no longer affiliated. You're not affiliated with what's appearing on the screen.
Que la afiliación no es lo que se proyecta, o sea, no somos la afiliación.
So it's not like you're looking for some kind of checklist and go, okay, am I unified consciousness or I'm choiceless awareness?
Okay, no. Can you repeat again, please?
Yeah, there's not like a checklist. Am I unified consciousness? Am I choiceless awareness?
Okay, no es una lista de chequeo donde acepto mi unificación, donde voy siguiendo etapas.
You could call these full commitment to God and his kingdom as the only thing of value.
Es el único compromiso con el reino lo que estamos buscando.
Supreme happiness is the only thing of value.
La suprema felicidad es lo que estamos buscando, nuestra verdadera valía.
So your natural inheritance is the only thing that you value.
Nuestra herencia natural es lo que estamos buscando. Dios, nuestra identidad.
And then it's hilarious because you see it's always been yours.
Y siempre ha estado contigo.
Okay. The world ends in happy laughter because you see all along you've been doing it to yourself to make yourself suffer.
Can you repeat again?
The world ends in happy laughter because
el mundo se ríe porque
you see that you are the one who's been choosing to keep the blinders on to blind yourself to your identity.
Porque eres el que busca tu verdadera identidad, quitarte la ceguera y reconocer tu verdadera identidad.
No one
No.
can keep heaven from you. No one can keep heaven. That's what you see.
Nadie puede quitarte el cielo. Nadie puede tomar el cielo por ti o decidir el cielo por ti.
The reason why it takes a little willingness is because
La razón por la cual tengo mi voluntad o decido voluntariamente,
it carries the firepower of God.
es cargar con el fuego de Dios, con la luz de Dios.
It carries the will of God.
Con la voluntad de Dios.
See, God has one will. It's called perfect happiness.
La voluntad de Dios, cargar con la voluntad de Dios o aceptar la voluntad de Dios es la verdadera felicidad.
So the only thing all these stages are is to drop the unwillingness to see what's true.
La única etapa es aceptar, drop,
Let go of.
permitir, dejar. La única etapa es dejar atrás todo y aceptar la felicidad, aceptar quiénes somos,
To stop
aceptar la verdad. Para detener.
Stop pretending like God is evil.
Sí, y parar, detener eso de que Dios es temible, de que Dios es diabólico. Vaya que locura.
The only way you cannot be awake is to make God your enemy.
La única manera de no despertar es creer que Dios es tu enemigo.
That's deep.
Eso es profundo. Yes, of course.
Okay, that is the only way.
Ese es el único camino.
So all these stages are just finally, having openings and admissions like we could be wrong.
Esas son las únicas etapas que podemos cumplir, que podemos aceptar, que podemos pasar.
And then happiness is finding out you're wrong about everything.
Y la felicidad es todo lo que significa lo que estamos buscando en todo esto.
Because all we're fighting over, see, this is where all the wanting to fight with God, all this stages.
No podemos, sí.
Just
no podemos, peleando con Dios, no podemos estar peleando con Dios, no podemos pelear con Dios. Dios no pelea con nosotros.
Quit fighting with God and just decide that that's the only thing you want is God, and then all this other stuff just it's space. You got some space to really for you to start clearing out all that subconscious content.
Sí, estar consciente de que es así, de que no podemos pelear con Dios, de que lo que somos.
So you can ask him, Jesus, is there anything more important than clearing out the subconscious content?
Podemos entonces preguntarle a Jesús qué es importante. ¿Qué es lo más importante para mi conciencia? ¿Qué es lo más importante para lo que soy?
Is there anything more important than that?
Nada más es más importante que eso.
And then honesty of God, ask him, Jesus, or whatever you call that, Holy Spirit.
Le preguntamos a Jesús acerca de todas nuestras experiencias, todo.
Okay? You just ask him.
Ask them. Preguntemos.
Yep. Ask them, do I love coming up with distractions not to look and see what's true?
Si amamos, o sea, ¿qué es lo que más queremos? ¿Nuestra distracción o amamos la verdad?
Jesus, do I love
amo más
coming up with distractions
amo más esta distracción
to avoid seeing the truth?
que la verdad.
the verdad? Am I avoiding the truth?
Avoiding the truth.
Do I love it? Avoiding seeing what's true.
Yes. Amo más, o sea, amo el seguirte en la verdad.
Jesus, am I putting other priorities ahead of seeing who I am?
Jesús, pongo o priorizo alguna otra cosa. Can you repeat the last sentence, the last? Jesus, can you repeat again, Kai?
See if I can get that one back. Jesus, am I putting other priorities ahead of seeing who I am?
Pongo, Jesús, coloco alguna otra prioridad de más allá del ser que soy. Priorizo alguna otra cosa más allá de lo que soy.
So the power of a course, and I've spoken about this before, the power of the course is
El poder del curso está
it's thorough. It's got all the subconscious content that needs to be released.
Can you repeat again, please?
The course has all the subconscious content that needs to be released.
El curso contiene todo lo que necesitamos para nuestra conciencia.
But if you don't talk to him, he can't show you where it's hidden in your subconscious mind.
Si no hablamos, no podemos expresar lo que hay en nuestra mente.
If you don't follow him 100%, he can't show you where it's all hidden in your subconscious mind.
Si no lo seguimos un 100%, no vamos a poder eliminar, no vamos a poder desempezar, descubrir todo lo que hay en nuestra conciencia profunda e interna.
But we're talking about the inheritance of everything by God here.
Estamos hablando acerca de toda nuestra herencia que nos ha dado nuestro Padre Dios.
You know, no pain, no illness, no suffering.
No dolor, no sufrimiento.
So I'm going to open up to see if there are any questions about any of these stages or any questions about any of this.
Están abiertas las sesiones de preguntas para esta sesión. Si desean hacer preguntas. ¿Hay alguna pregunta?
Hola, buenas noches, bendiciones.
Buenas noches.
Yo sí tengo una pregunta, llevo poco en este círculo de luz asistiendo a los Zoom y quiero de alguna manera lograr ser guiada acerca de cómo puedo yo sentir, escuchar realmente a Jesús al hacerle las preguntas con respecto a mi conciencia. Me dicen, escucha lo que Él te dice, pero yo en mi silencio lo que hago es autoevaluarme, pero no tengo la seguridad de cómo escucharlo.
Okay. She wants to know how she can listen the voice of God because she's new in this circle group, okay? And she said, I pray, I close my eyes and practice it, but I'm not sure if I can hear the voice of Jesus or God. He wants to know how she can do.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Eso es hermoso.
Hermoso. Okay, Moni. Well, you ask Jesus how you can hear him better and see what he says.
Lo primero que tienes que hacer es preguntarle a Jesús cómo puedes escuchar mejor, la mejor manera de escucharle.
What is he telling you?
¿Qué te está diciendo? Es lo primero que vas a hacer, hermanito. Pregunta en este momento, ¿cómo puedes hacer para escucharlo? Y dime qué te contesta para entonces decirle a la hermana que...
Ok. Lo único que se me viene a la mente es imágenes. Veo imágenes muy bellas, siempre tengo como
Y,
impresiones muy bellas en la mente y como seguir estudiando y dejarme guiar, algo así, pero no.
okay. When she asked, Jesus showed her images, beautiful images, and Jesus guided her, of course, continue to study, and continue in this way. That's all. She said that's all.
It's pretty good. She's here, so she hears him pretty well.
Que él te está escuchando, eso está muy bueno porque él te está escuchando muy bien. Y me permito expresarte, querida hermana, que continúes, porque al inicio pareciera que es así, pero él está allí y lo que se requiere es nuestra dosis de buena voluntad.
Así es, si algo me ha dado es una cantidad de paz impresionante, tener mayor control sobre mis pensamientos y sentirme en paz. Eso ha sido absolutamente hermoso y maravilloso y he tenido, lo que te digo, unas imágenes hermosas que de repente se me vienen a la mente y me dan mucha paz. Entonces continuaré súper juiciosa por el camino.
Exactamente. It's beautiful. She feels peace. In this stage, she feels peace. Okay? And she said to me that he's going to continue. I told her that it's usually when we begin that we think that Jesus didn't hear us, but it's not like this. He's there. She's going to continue to study, is going to continue to walk with us.
So it's beautiful because he says you make the time to listen. You see, we have to open our minds and want to hear him. And he says you want to hear him.
Ok, es hermoso porque lo importante es que te permitas escucharlo y que, o sea, lo que él te tenga que decir. ¿Oíste?
He's telling me that you want to hear him with all your heart.
Él está diciendo a ella que tú quieres escucharlo con todo su corazón.
Qué hermoso. Así es, siempre, siempre, siempre.
Yeah.
Okay. So what will help with this, what helps is two things. The joining helps with the clarity.
La unión en el caso de cuando estamos orando, se expresa con claridad. ¿Okay? Nuestra mente unida se expresa con claridad. Lo sientes.
So that's the place where you can practice hearing and speaking what you hear. That will help you get more clear.
Okay, can you repeat again?
Yes, in the joinings, it's an opportunity to listen and speak.
Okay, la unidad, unirse, al unirnos, ¿no? A practicar es la oportunidad de escuchar y hablar. Eso es lo que nos permite el unirnos, el poder compartir.
And that will help you get more clarity too. The more you listen and speak his voice, you'll get more clear.
Eso es lo que te permite mayor claridad, el escuchar y el compartir y el hablar.
And then as the desires are released, you'll hear them even more clearly.
Ok, y a medida que tú desees soltar, o sea, deshacer, entregar, ¿verdad? Esa escucha va a ser cada vez más clara.
And what I'm hearing is that if you take Jesus a New Covenant, the book,
si tú, Jesús el Nuevo Convenimiento en el libro, si lo lees,
and start reading it,
comenzando la lectura,
and then you ask him, when you get to a question in the text, you talk to him and you write down what he tells you.
al inicio tú le puedes preguntar en la lectura, parece que hay una parte allí donde le preguntas y puedes hablar con él.
And he will start explaining things to you directly.
Y él va a comenzar a explicarte directamente.
Hermoso, ya de hecho lo leí todo, lo terminé anoche y voy a iniciarlo de nuevo por segunda vez.
Okay. That's great. She read the book and she finished just last night and she's going to read again.
That feels really good because now you just ask them questions about it. What do you mean by this, Jesus?
Eso es muy bien, eso es muy bien.
And you'll see it's just a conversation. It's just a conversation that you'll have with them.
Esa es sencillamente una conversación que tienes con él.
Thank you, Moni.
Y es hermoso. Muchas, muchas gracias, gracias, gracias. Aquí seguiré siempre firme.
Okay. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's beautiful. I'm going to be here forever. ¿Hay alguna otra pregunta, alguna participación?
Buenas noches.
Buenas noches.
Buenas noches.
Yo quiero hacer una pregunta.
She wants to make a question.
Yo cuando hago las inmersiones de los deseos, sí me trae los deseos que yo, que me vienen pues a la mente, de la mente incorrecta. Pero cuando yo le pregunto si yo quiero ver las cosas de otra manera o si estoy dispuesta a verlas de otra manera, encuentro mucha resistencia, no logro escuchar.
Okay. She's talking about when she go inner her about the desires. Okay. She doesn't hear any answer. Okay. She asks, but she feels that there is no answer to Jesus, from Jesus to her.
What's that last part? She feels what?
Jesus doesn't answer to her. There is no answer to her.
Okay,
there is no answer.
Okay, so Virginia, ask Jesus if you're afraid to speak with him and hear his voice.
Virginia, ¿tú tienes miedo de hablar con Jesús? ¿Tienes miedo de escuchar su voz?
Sí.
Yes.
Pongo mucha resistencia.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
She resists.
Okay, so ask him to tell you what the resistance is.
¿Cuál es la resistencia? ¿Cuál crees tú que es la resistencia? ¿Por qué te resiste? ¿Por qué temes escuchar a Jesús?
Bueno, cuando yo le hago la pregunta de que, así de que sí, quiero ver las cosas de manera diferente, yo siento que interfiere mucho el ego porque pues empiezo se me empiezan a venir respuestas así, pero siento que no son de Jesús. Entonces,
Okay.
entonces, ahí es donde pongo resistencia porque empiezo a escuchar, o empieza el parloteo de la mente, en lugar de que yo sí procuro estar en silencio, esperar, estar dispuesta a abrirme a escuchar su voz, pero empieza el parloteo de la mente.
Okay. When she talked and asked to Jesus, okay, and wait for an answer, she feels that immediately there are answers, and she thinks that is the ego, not Jesus. I think that she is not sure who's speaking to her. This is the doubt about this one.
Mm-hmm. So ask Jesus if you think in your subconscious mind he's taking something away from you.
Pregúntale a Jesús ahorita, ¿verdad? Pregúntale si hay algo en tu conciencia que te impida conversar con él y de escuchar su voz. Pregúntale.
Me llega la negación de mí misma, miedo, culpa.
Okay. She's denying herself, fear, guilty.
See. But he says you think he's going to take something from you if you hear him.
Can you repeat again, Kai, please?
It seems that perhaps you might be fearing that he's going to take something from you. You're going to lose something if you talk to him.
Okay. ¿Tú sientes que vas a perder algo, que él va a tomar algo de ti si tú lo escuchas?
Sí, y también
Sí.
Escucho que él me dice que yo soy la que no quiero. Así cuando me dice que yo me niego porque sí siento el miedo a perder, pero pues no sé qué, no sé qué puedo perder porque pues no entiendo.
She knows that Jesus tells her that is her resistance, okay? And she feared to lose something. She doesn't know what it is, but Jesus talked to her and she resists.
Okay, so Virginia, take everything that you think you're going to lose and you put it in a bundle and then you put it into Jesus's hands and let's just see what happens.
Okay. Que agarres todo eso que tú crees que puedes perder y entrégaselo a Jesús en una bandeja o así, tal cual, y dime qué pasa. Haz ese ahorita de entregar. Todo lo que tú creas que puedes perder. Lo que representa esa resistencia.
me pregunta que si realmente estoy dispuesta a entregarlo.
Okay, Jesus asked her, do you really want to bring them to me? He asked them. ¿Cuál es su respuesta, hermanita? ¿Deseosa? ¿Estás dispuesta a entregarlo? ¿Qué temes? De eso que pusiste allí, ¿qué temes? What do you fear? What this thing or statements you are bringing to Jesus? I asked her about this one. ¿Qué crees? ¿Qué crees? ¿Cuál es el temor? ¿Qué miedo tienes?
Exacto.
Porque lo pusiste en una cesta. You
Sí.
put it on the basket in front of Jesus. Lo pusiste al frente de Jesús. De todo eso que entregas, ¿qué temes? What do you fear? For all that you bring to Jesus. ¿Qué crees? ¿Qué temes?
Tal vez perder mi identidad.
She feels that she's going to lose her identity.
You know what he's telling me? He says, you like to do it your way.
Yes. Que quieres seguir haciendo las cosas a tu manera.
Sí, como que es control y... Sí, porque luego también me lleva más que nada también al control, al ataque. Control, ataque,
Attack, yes.
¿Cómo te diré más? Conflicto, me encanta el conflicto. Yo ya lo trabajé en la noche y es un deleite, como dice Lina, es un gusto, así un gusto.
She delight.
Sí, un deleite, un placer. Es más, siento mucho gusto así de ese conflicto, de esa guerra. Me encanta la guerra.
She delight the war, fighting, that attack.
Yeah. That's really why we don't talk to him, because we like fighting and attack. That's the whole thing that we have to see.
Sí, exacto, que esa es la cuestión de que nos gusta pelear y nos gusta tener el control. Yeah.
That's for all of us, Virginia, to see that the reason we don't want to listen to him is because we like to fight. We like to fight more than we like to be loved.
Ajá, esa es la razón por la cual no escuchamos, porque amamos más el pelear, el discutir, el guerrear, que el amar.
He says you hear him fine, you just don't want to listen to what he says.
Sí, está bien. Pero sí escucha lo que él dice, sí escuchas lo que él dice.
Sí, me dice, bueno, por ejemplo, cuando trabajamos con Lina, luego, por ejemplo, si se queda algún deseo así para seguir trabajando, pero yo quiero trabajar el deseo que vimos en grupo, pero ya que entro ahora sí en la inmersión, me lleva a la guerra, me lleva al control, me llega, ese control y esa guerra me hace sentirme más poderosa que Dios.
Ay, my goodness. Okay.
Y yo digo, me encanta, y no salgo de que me encanta estarme revolcando ahí.
Okay, she loves to be in a group, sharing and bringing all desires, and but when it's more that she loves to fight and conflict that in order to love. This is okay. I think, dear sister, that is common when the ego catch to some people listening to the voice, it attacks. What do you think about this, guy?
Well, you know, the beautiful thing about this is the honesty of God, which we appreciate.
La única, o sea, lo único hermoso de esto es que Dios nos aprecia.
So all we have to look at with Jesus is the relishing of the experience of attack and just relish it, and let it fully come into our awareness, how much we like it.
Ok, Jesús permite que eso salga cuánto nosotros nos deleitamos en él.
And see
Sí,
how
sí.
much see how much we think heaven. Jesus, do I think heaven is in fighting and attack? Do I think that's where heaven comes from?
Ok, en el cielo no hay ni ataque ni hay guerra. Ok, no hay ataque, no hay guerra. Ok, de allí es de donde venimos. ¿Ya?
Sí,
See.
Ujú.
So that's how heaven and hell get flipped, because we think heaven is in attack.
Ok, por eso es que estamos en un constante devenir, porque pensamos que en el cielo hay ataque, o sea que el cielo es atacar. Es así como que pretendemos colocarle al cielo lo que hemos fabricado aquí. ¿Ok?
ok,
¿Ya?
sí,
Ujú.
So this is good, because this is where you really can see how consciousness tricks us. We trick ourselves.
Ok, eso es bueno porque así puedes ver las trampas que se pueden, o sea, que se puede generar en la conciencia, ¿verdad? Pero eso a la vez permite también el que se pueda corregir.
So this is how Virginia's bringing a gift.
Son también unas oportunidades y son regalos.
So Virginia, ask Jesus if you think your happiness comes from attack.
Virginia, pregúntale a Jesús si tú piensas que tu felicidad proviene del ataque.
no, no porque
No.
me daño a mí misma,
Ajá,
me doy de
no.
latigazos.
Oh no, because she hurt herself. Yes.
Yes, so we see that, but in the play of consciousness, somewhere in the subconscious mind, is there a part of her that still thinks that happiness can come from attack? Ask Jesus.
Ok, hay una parte de ti que todavía piensa que el ataque, o sea, que el ataque es útil. Esa actitud de ataque todavía es útil. Hay una parte de tu conciencia que todavía cree que eso es deseable. ¿Ya?
Sí,
That's the one we want to get to, the part of ourselves that thinks attack is happiness.
Eso es lo que trata con lo cual trata de engañarte, de que el ataque te da felicidad.
It's the way out of the dream to start seeing that confusion down there.
Es el camino del sueño, sí, es el juego del sueño, de que la confusión te puede traer felicidad.
So what we want to let Jesus help us flip that, change our mind that it's valuable, we can get happiness out of attack.
Preguntémosle a Jesús, permitámonos dejarnos guiar por Jesús, que nos permita conseguir, o sea, encontrar la felicidad alejados del ataque, sin el ataque, que nos enseñe.
So this is the whole thing. This is the whole thing.
Eso es todo, ese es todo, toda la cosa, porque eso es como que el secreto de todo.
Jesus, am I willing to see I can never get happiness out of attack?
Jesús, mi voluntad no, o sea, está alejado del ataque. Mi voluntad no es el ataque.
sí, ya cerrando más.
See,
So
that's
clear.
it. What?
Clear, it's more clear for her.
Yeah, see, that's just the flip. We call it the flip when what we
Ese es el
thought,
cambio.
yeah,
Ujú. Ese es el cambio que se da, es el giro que se da en la mente.
so what we thought would bring us happiness, we were confused about it, and then all we have to do is see that it never works.
Sí, si pensamos que, exacto, que si la felicidad está en la confusión, eso no funciona.
And when we change our mind and don't value that anymore, that's the miracle.
Si, o sea, si no le damos el valor a eso y no pensamos en eso, pues lo desechamos, ese es el milagro. Si hay ese cambio en nuestra mente.
So ask Jesus if we accepted the miracle.
Pregunta a Jesús, Virginia, si aceptas el milagro.
Me dice que sí.
Yes. Yes, she accepts the miracle.
Okay, Virginia, now we all know for sure you can hear Jesus.
Sí, no estamos seguros, Virginia.
Como que me dio mucha risa.
Estamos seguros. Ajá, she is happy, she is laughing for the
Yes,
answer.
it's beautiful.
Yes,
It's
es hermoso.
thank you. What a great share.
Gracias, gracias. Excelente lo que has compartido.
Gracias, gracias.
Now, there may be a way to go deeper on this, he says, but he'll guide you, see, and then you can find mighties that want to look at how much the ego relishes attack, and then you just spend time on the relishing of attack until Jesus says it's totally gone.
Ok, ya tienes esta oportunidad de ya desde aquí, ok, y cuando se te presente esta nueva forma, ya estás consciente de eso y puedes entonces dejarlo pasar, entregarlo y ya dejarlo pasar, ¿sí, Virginia?
Claro, ok, muchas gracias. Gracias.
Thank you, love. Thanks.
So we'll just ask Jesus, Virginia, ask Jesus, will he help us fully release the desire from attack from our mind?
Virginia, pregúntale a Jesús, si estoy dispuesta, si estás dispuesta, o sea, ofrécele a Jesús y dile que estás dispuesta a dejar y a entregar este deseo de atacar.
Sí.
Yes.
Good news, Virginia, you brought the good news. Bueno. Muy bien.
Well, bien. Yeah.
Excellent. Gracias, Virginia.
Gracias.
Gracias.
Gracias. Les agradezco mucho. Gracias. Aprendí mucho.
She learned a lot. She learned a lot with this.
It's the rocket ship when we listen to Jesus.
Es hermoso cuando lo escucha Jesús.
Oh, can you say it again? It got interrupted somehow.
Okay, can you repeat again, please?
It is the rocket ship when we listen to Jesus.
Rocket ship.
The rocket ship to happiness.
Es lo máximo, es lo máximo, es el cohete de la felicidad cuando escuchamos a Jesús. Sí, yes. Es un cohete, sentimos que estamos en un cohete de la felicidad.
It's beautiful. ¿Algo
Es
más?
hermoso.
Anything else?
Yes, there is anything else. Thanks for this. This is an amazing experience. Ha sido una experiencia maravillosa. Lovely experience. My mind, mi mente is healing, está sanando. With you, all of you, con todos ustedes. Jesús, Jesus talked to me before. Jesús habló conmigo acerca de esto. Including talking about speaking in English. I was afraid for this one. I don't really know why. Él me decía, o sea, en cuanto a la traducción, y no sabía por qué. Y él recordaba la valía. He remembered me about my value, how you said to me, Kai, he is in charge. He is in charge. Yes, I only say I am here to be helpful, and he does everything. Jesús, él me recordó la valía y me dijo que, me recordó pues que no hacemos nada, que sencillamente ponemos nuestra dosis de buena voluntad y él hace el resto. Thanks a lot. Muchísimas gracias.
It's a joy. It's joy.
Yes.
This is what he means about going to heaven together.
Yes. You are right. This is experience here.
See. And be in the beauty of being in function.
Yes.
And we do have the power to say no to fear. That's an important stage too. Say no to fear. Don't accept it.
No tengamos miedo dentro de esta etapa de no aceptar, de aceptar.
Oh my goodness, I just heard from Jesus. We're having a movie on Saturday night.
Oh, Dios mío. Trabajo para Jesús. La película del sábado, en la noche del sábado.
Yeah.
Let me tell you if yes or not.
Gracias, Jesus.
Gracias, Jesús. Thanks.
Gracias, beloved brothers and sisters.
Thanks. Gracias, amorosos hermanos y hermanas. Bye bye.
Love you.
Bye bye.
Gracias.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye, thank you.
You're welcome.